On last week's devotion, we focused on and talked about finding favor with your parents. Today, we're going to be talking about parents on the other side of the spectrum, how to deal with tough parents. Let's face it, there are many teenagers and children out there who have parents that are really tough and hard on them. Maybe you do too, okay? So we're gonna be focusing on how to deal with that. I know for me, I had tough parents. Situation was a little bit different. My mom was very verbally abusive and sometimes physically abused me. On the other hand, my dad was abusive in so many ways. So I understand what it's like to try to live and survive with parents. So we're gonna be talking about that type of toughness and just parents who are just tough, and in their heart, they believe that their toughness is really helping you, but sometimes tough parents are hard to live with and deal with, and it can cause us to go the opposite way and really affect our relationship with our parents and even our relationship with God. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to read real quick out of the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. And this is to fathers, parents as a whole. And you, fathers, do not provoke your children into wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. So here, parents are being told how to treat their kids. As parents, we're not supposed to purposely trigger our kids or push them on the edge of explosion, to push them on the edge or have a toxic relationship with them. We're not to do that. We're not to provoke our kids. We're to love our kids. Now, there's a difference between provoking and actually disciplining your kids. So just know the difference in that. But as parents, we aren't perfect. We are not perfect. And I can say this myself because I'm a parent. And as parents, we have fallen short of the mark. We have made mistakes, because you don't learn how to be a parent in high school. In college, they don't have Parenting 101. It just happens when you have children. Now, there are those individuals who have parents who've really taught them how to be good parents, how to be a good husband and wife as they grow up, and that's great, but there's some of us that never got that. So in a sense, we're like, oh man, we're having to learn this from scratch. But even those other group of individuals I'm talking about, even though they had parents who taught them, there's still some things that we have to learn with our own kids, and we will make mistakes. Yet there are parents who are really tough on their kids, that are really tough to deal with, who are very hard on their kids, and in their minds, again, they think that they're doing the right thing because that's probably what they learned from their parents. But I'm going to share with you some ways on how to handle parents who may be extremely difficult to get along with and live with. So I'm giving you 3 points today, all right? Just 3 simple points. The first one is this: practice a soft answer. Now in Proverbs 15:1, it tells us this. It tells us that a soft answer turns away wrath and anger. So learn to hold your tongue, learn to hold your temper, even when your parents don't. If they're losing, doesn't mean that you have to lose it. Do your best to set an example of patience, gentleness, and godliness to your parents, especially if you have parents that aren't saved. The ball's in our court as kids to be that example for our parents. Does it mean they're going to get saved? I don't know. Some may, some may not, but we are to set that example of God's love. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's very important. So the first one, practice a soft answer. Number 2, communicate well. Communication is so important in family dynamics or any relationship dynamic, okay? But be sure that you never lose, that you never leave your parents in the dark. It's so easy to leave our parents in the dark. It's so easy to put our parents in a position where they have question marks because we don't communicate with them. But don't leave them out of the dark on what you're doing, okay? Where you're going or what you're planning on doing something or when you're gonna do something with somebody. Put into practice a thing called the no surprise rule, where it's not gonna be like, surprise, because sometimes we surprise our parents and they're not in the right mood, and that's when things go crazy. But bring that into your life, bring the no surprise rule into your life, and learn to ask your parents, rather than to tell them or demand that you're gonna do these things. First of all, it's disrespectful. And second of all, it's healthy to ask them. Don't assume that your parents are gonna be great with it. Don't assume that your parents are gonna be fine with it. Just communicate well. It changes everything. Give your parents the satisfaction of granting you permission, even on things that you may take for granted, all right? So 1, practice a soft answer. 2, communicate well. Now 3 is very important, okay? Very important. Don't become a victim, all right? Don't become a victim of physical, mental, verbal, or emotional abuse. Don't become a victim. It will affect you for the rest of your life. If you have a parent who has become very violent, constantly hitting you, beating you, even verbally abusing you, man, please let someone know who can help. It's so important. And I can tell you from experience, it's so important because growing up in what I grew up in, it affected me and messed me up really bad, okay? Really bad. And I don't need to get into it. But even as an adult, sometimes those things I experienced still haunt me to this day. But thankfully with the power of God and the Holy Spirit, I'm able to overcome those things and filter those memories out, and not let it control me. So don't allow this to happen in your home, because it will affect you, man. It will affect you. Now, you can go talk to a family member that you trust, someone that you can be open with, that you know is going to listen to you and help you. You can go to a school counselor, a counselor that you trust, or you can go to someone like us at church, people that can help you get out of the situation and walk you through it and try to see the light on the other end of the tunnel. You do not want to become a victim, my friends. God does not want you to become a victim of that either, okay? So that's a very serious thing. Now, if you remember, again, last week's devotion about finding favor with parents, these 3 points I'm bringing here, especially 1 and 2, coincide with that lesson also about finding favor with them. Even you can find favor with tough parents also, okay? So we can add those to this. Now, I'm going to share this quote. Parents are not perfect, nor are they saints. Dads and moms make mistakes all the time. How you handle these situations will be an important life lesson for your children. Okay, so if you're living with tough parents right now, do your best to love on them. Do your best to implement these things I'm sharing with you, and these things really work, and I'm being 100% honest with you. If not, I wouldn't be sharing these things. But remember, that like for me, when I became a parent, I knew that right away I wasn't gonna be the parent my parents were. Don't get me wrong, there's some really great things my parents taught me, but there's some really bad things I'm not gonna bring that in to my family. I'm not gonna bring that in with my kids. So I was able to break that curse, so if there's anything that you can learn from what you're going through with tough parents, you don't have to be the same with your kids. But at the same time, pray for your parents, love on your parents, and respect your parents again, Now, when I'm talking about going back to being a victim, I'm not talking about spankings that you got growing up. That's different, okay? We're talking about the other type of abuse that could go on and stuff like that. But hopefully this gave you some insight. Hopefully all of you have parents that you're able to love and grow with and get along with. But if you do have tough parents, man, I'm praying for you. Love you guys, and just have a great day and a great week. And we'll see you guys all on Wednesday, all right? Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye.